afternoon, everybody. It is Dave Scatchard, and I'm so excited to bring this training to you today. It's something that's been on my heart for a while, and I was like, if I could only teach our group one thing and give it to them hard for an hour, what would I start with? And the thing that kept coming up for me was creating a bulletproof mindset to allow your mind to think at such a high capacity that it's unstoppable, that you're able to do things that are supernatural, that should never happen. Our goal here is to harness your emotions, create resilience, and cultivate a bulletproof mindset that propels you towards success. Okay, so if we can harness our emotions, create resilience and strengthen ourselves, and then create a bulletproof mindset that will launch us into success and allow us to just tackle things without thinking about it, without second guessing, without doubting ourselves, right? Have we all had that? Raise your hand if you've had that feeling where you're like, man, I just don't know if I'm cut up for this, or I don't know if I'm smart enough, or I don't know if I can figure this out, or I don't know if I'm good enough, or I don't know if I'm pretty enough, or I don't know if I'm this, or I don't know if I'm that. I've done it my whole life. But what I also did was build this other voice inside my head that's louder than that voice, and that is full of faith and full of trust and knowing that I'm built for more. There are bigger things out there for me to do. There are impossible things out there for me to do. And it's my job to step up and do them. I'm called for that. I'm being tapped on the shoulder and God's saying, dude, do something. Go do something big with your life. Play big. Don't play small. And I can't turn it off. And I'm obsessive because it eats away at my stomach. And I'm like, man, why can't I just chill and do nothing? Okay. But I can't do that because I'm called for more. I will always, till the day that I die, I will be doing this stuff. I will be helping people because it's what I'm called to do. I believe that if you're on this call right now, you're called to do something big too. What is it for you? Feel free to type in the chat at any point. Yeah, I always wanted to try this, but I was scared. Or I tried this and it didn't work, so I stopped. Or I wanted to write a book. Look, I wrote a best-selling book. Dave Scatchard did. I wrote The Comeback, My Journey Through Heaven and Hell. Do you know how it took me 5 years to have the balls to do this, to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God, and share the story without fear of judgment, without fear of failure? Because I had to build up that resilience. But once I did it, I'm like, man, I'm writing 2 more books right now. I'm almost done both of them. I'm a hockey player. I'm not an author. Well, I am now a best-selling author, right? Look at these jerseys. These jerseys keep going along this whole wall. Nobody handed those out on day one and said, hey, congratulations, you're in the NHL. Here's millions of dollars, here's fame, here's fortune, here's the best times of your life, here's the best hotels, the private jets, the da-da-da-da-da. Nobody just hands that out to you. I'm from Hinton, Alberta, Canada. It's a small, tiny little coal mining town. The whole town smells like a pulp mill. So how did I do this? How did I override the common sense factor that goes, you're not built for this, buddy. Sorry, you're too little. You're too broke. Your family doesn't have any money. How's anybody going to discover you? Your town's too small. You don't play against any big cities or anybody like that. And I had to override that little voice in my head and all the teachers that said I needed a backup plan, and everybody who said that's impossible. The odds are like 1 in millions. Only 700 people in the world get to do that job every year. What makes you think you're going to get that job? But I dug deep and I said, you don't know what I'm made of. You don't know what's inside of me. If your friends or family or anybody's doubting you about who you are and what you're about, they don't know what you're made of. Only you do. But don't prove them right. Don't prove them right by playing small or being afraid. This is time to build a bulletproof mindset. We override all that shit, okay? Nobody can tell you what you can or can't do unless you just give up and quit. The second that you quit, it's over. The second that you stop, it's over. You lose. Sorry. But if you don't ever quit, you're going to figure it out. You're going to figure something out. You're going to get closer. You're going to make progress. That's where all the energy comes, is when you start to make progress. But when you stop the momentum and you quit on yourself, on all those people that are counting on you to be more, your community, your friends, your family, they all lose. Nobody wins by you quitting, ever. I am here and I'm playing with passion because I want you guys to win. I want you guys to have more. I want you to play bigger. And I'm talking right to you. You know that you're built for more. You know this. So why haven't you? What stopped you? What excuse? What circumstance? Because if we can write those down, we can pinpoint them and go, well, look, if I just override this, I should be able to do it, right? We'll always have excuses. They're like a crutch. I think there's an old saying that's like, excuses are like assholes. Everybody has one. And I don't want to make you laugh or say something shocking, but I want to do a pattern interrupt to your brain right now that says, stop thinking the way you've been thinking. It's got to stop. If you're making $1 billion and you're impacting millions of lives and you're got it dialed in, great. Don't change a thing. But my guess is that most of the people on this call are in some sort of a transitional phase where it's like, man, I got to figure something out. I got to get this going. I got to launch it. I got to write it. I got to sell it. I got to promote it. I got to believe in myself. I got to claim something for more. What are you built for? What are you sitting here for on this earth? Please tell me. And if you don't know, dig deep. What do you love? Do you love animals? Do you love kids? Do you love charities? Do you love church? Do you love your community? But love something more than yourself. If you're failing to take action, it's because you're afraid and you're making it about you. The people are going to judge you. You don't come into the equation when you play big. It's bigger than you. These jerseys, my path, my journey. Yeah, originally I was like, I got to make the NHL. I got to see. It's the hardest thing in the world. If I ever pull this off, it's going to be the most amazing story. This Ironman. I ran a damn Ironman, 140-mile race last December. I've never trained like that. I've never done any of those distances. I've never done anything. So how can I go from 0 to a 140-mile race in a few months? It's not about me. That was the secret. I called one of my mentors. I said, hey, there's Donnie Epstein. I go, Donnie, what? How do I do this race? I was having issues with my Achilles tendon. I was having issues with my calf training. He goes, well, who are you doing it for? And I said, well, I'm challenging myself. I want to see what I'm made of. I'm trying to do something impossible to show my coaching clients that anything's possible. I'm trying to show my kids and be a mentor for my kids. He's like, okay, Dave. He goes, that's pretty good, but you're going to not make it. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, it's too little. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, you'll probably get hurt and you won't have the energy to do it because you've never done anything like this before. I said, so how do I do it? He said, you have to make it so big that you can't possibly have that much energy by yourself. You've got to call in the unbound energy of the universe. And he literally looked at me and he said, you have to think like you're blazing a new pathway for humanity and you're creating a roadmap for other people to follow in your footsteps. Then you'll have all the energy you want. So I'm blazing a pathway for humanity. You know how many times I was running and I'm jogging, I'm on my bike for 112 miles and I'm like, I'm blazing a new pathway for humanity. And I imagine this wake behind me and all these people finally changing their lives and getting inspired by something that I did, but it wasn't even me, it was bigger than me. Do you guys get this? Type in the chat if you're getting it. I'm the only one getting in my way. I use any excuse. I have a struggle right now, emotional, mental mindset of the next move in my life. Okay, like, yes, we all deal with this stuff, guys. We all deal with this stuff. So stop, okay? The way that you've been doing it so far hasn't worked, right? Can we raise our hand and say it hasn't worked quite the way that I expected yet? Why? More energy has to come into the system. More energy, more focus, bigger vision, bigger than you, so that we can have that unbound energy of all universe to play with and have impact with. But my first challenge is I had no idea how to do these. We ran 20,000 people through those challenges for free. Why? Because I felt a nudge from something bigger than me. And it was like, God was whispering in my ear. And he's like, dude, are you going to help all these people during COVID? People are melting down. People want to blow their brains out. And you're sitting there helping your fancy clients one-on-one when you could help thousands at the same time. So what did I do? I dug deep. I didn't sleep a wink. I tried to figure out all this, like how to run a challenge, how to market, how to send emails, how to do all this stuff. And to be honest, I wasn't thinking about any money for myself. just that one challenge alone made us over $1 million. And that won us this 2 Comma Club award right here. So you get that 2 Comma Club award when you do $1 million through a sales funnel, but it wasn't about me. Are you guys seeing the pattern here? When it's not about you and it's bigger than you, you'll be helped along the way. And you're not worried about yourself. You're not worried about this or that or the other thing. It's like, no, this is bigger than me. How do I figure this out? Okay. So are you guys getting this? Type in the chat if you're getting this. Laura, I see you. Diana, Corey, Cynthia, Dole. Is anything that I'm saying making sense to you guys yet? And I know we got a bunch of people on Facebook. I just can't see your comments right now because I'm streaming on Zoom. But I want to share with you some more stories, but I want to also cover the things that I promised in that email, okay? So let's just look at things really quick, and then I'll get back into storytelling, because that's how I teach the best, is through story. And I suggest that any of you out there have stories that you can teach on and can have impact when you do the job. So our goal for today was to harness your emotions, create resilience, and cultivate a blueprint mindset, a bulletproof mindset that propels you towards success, okay? So we're doing that right now, okay? I think we got a really nice jump start. I think we raised the energy level. I think you can feel my heart and feel my passion. And what I'm sharing with you is being given to me, okay? I don't have a lot of notes. I had a couple of bullet points and things like that, but what you guys are hearing is what you're supposed to hear. If you're on this call, you're on this call for a reason. Resilience. I think in order for us to learn the best, we need to not misinterpret or don't know the correct definitions of things, because if we don't understand it, we're kind of like, our brain's still trying to figure out, well, what does resilience really mean or whatever. So I gave you the actual definitions. I Googled 2 definitions, and they were kind of interesting. I believe one is just boom, punch you in the face, and this is what it really is. And I believe that the second one is sort of society's version of resilience, okay? So here we go. Resilience. The capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties, and then underneath it said toughness. Okay, I love that one. Simple, to the point. Does everybody understand that? Yes? Everybody understand what that resilience means? The capacity to withstand or recover quickly from difficulties equals toughness. You know resilient people. You know the David Goggins of the world, these guys who just won't quit. They're going to get there. I guarantee you that people, if you know, I pass away one day, which will happen, I hope at my funeral they say, man, that guy never quit. He tried his ass off. He wasn't perfect all the time, but he worked and he tried stuff and he wasn't afraid. And I've got to do amazing things. Best-selling artist, winning awards in marketing, playing in the NHL, doing Ironmans. All these things were impossible on paper. Okay, I'm not bragging about that stuff. I'm showing you that it's possible. I'm not that special. I just listen and I work hard and I try to show up for people like I'm doing for you right now. The next one is adapting to difficulty or challenging life experiences, especially through mental, emotional, and behavioral flexibility and adjustment to external, internal demands. Okay. I don't really like this because I don't feel like it's like kind of like all encompassing, and resilience is when you have difficulties and, you know, emotional and behavioral, and you need to be flexible and adjust. All those things are somewhat true, but I'd like to just get right to the point for you. Okay. So we'll get to that in a second. Today I'm going to talk about the power of resilience and why being a resilient person or business makes you 10x everybody else. Okay. And I'll get to that in a second. Emotional intelligence and emotional resilience. There's 2 different types, okay? The emotional intelligence is how you think. How do you think when everything's burning down around you? How do you think when you're planning and strategizing and systematizing? And how do you think when you're just getting punched in the face by life? And are you going to fold the tent and just say, listen, that's a sign I'm not meant for this? Or are you going to like adjust and adapt, okay? And I got some stories for that. Growth mindset and harnessing the power of mindset. Okay, these are 2 different mindset pieces that I want to teach on, but they're super duper important. And then adversity into opportunity. Taking your adversity and turning it into opportunity. I like the saying, and I've heard a bunch of times, is take your mess and make it your message. Okay, and that's sort of what I've done with my life. Is and I'll get to all these things in a second, but my life hasn't been a clear path. And my rebuilding of my life after my 5th concussion was not a clear path. It was a very dark and lonely and scary place to be. That's why I understand, I relate to all of you. No matter where you are on the scale, I've been there. I've been at the highest highs in the possible, in the best league in the world, making tons of money and doing all these amazing things. I've been at the lowest of lows where I wanted to kill myself. And I don't want to say that. I hate saying those words, but that was how I felt, because my life was had no compelling future. I had no upside. Everything was like I was a drag on life. I was a burden to everybody. I hated feeling that way. So I had to rebuild this guy. And then, like, when I was writing these down, I said, you know what? The biggest thing really is our perspective, and looking at things differently from a different perspective or a different lens. Okay? This is one of the most important things. I could look at my 5th concussion and say, woe is me. I've lost the ability to speak properly, walk properly. I had no memory. I was on Alzheimer's medicine. I was on all these pain medications. I was Ambien, Adderall, you name it. The doctors were just plugging me full of all these chemicals. And it got so dark, obviously, that I wanted to do something harmful to myself because I felt like a burden. But then when I look back on that time now, that was one of the greatest times of my life. And you're probably like, Dave, how the hell could that be a great time in your life? Because it moved me from hockey player into this speaker, author, coach. It moved me from this one lane that I would have wanted to stay in forever into this other lane that said, you know what? Like, dude, I got other plans for you. And you're not going to quit on your own. So I'm going to bump you on the head. I'm going to take away all of those things. I'm going to move you over here so you can help all these thousands of people. I'm like, oh, well, thank you. Thank you for that. Because otherwise I'd still be out there trying to play hockey. Does this make sense? So you have to rewrite it. You have to rewrite what's going on in your brain. You have to rewrite what you're thinking, because nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to come in and say, oh, hey, Jenny, hey, Joel, hey, Laura, this is why all this is happening to you, okay? You're actually being trained for this next phase of your life, but you're not getting the message. So I'm going to keep bonking you over the head until you get the message, and then you get to move to the next level. Imagine like a video game, and until you learn how to beat the dragon at the end of the level, you don't get to go to the next level. So you got to learn some moves first. You got to learn some skills. You got to learn some techniques. Then you get to go to the next level. But right now you're not prepared. Right now you might be single because God doesn't want you to present that version of you to your soulmate, because he knows there's a better version of you that you just have to discover for yourself. And then you show up in the world like that. It's like, wow, who's this? Damn. She's fine. He's fine. Look at this amazing creature. But right now, you got to work on yourself. You got to get some help, coaching, mentoring, whatever. I don't care. This training. Dig deep and start to ask yourself serious questions. Why hasn't it worked? What has stopped me in the past? What do I need to figure out to move to the next level? Ask yourself that question right now. Because if you figure that thing out, you might get to go to the next level. What lesson? What skill? What trait? What habit? What routine? What characteristic? Because there's something there for you. There's gold nuggets. I have some stories I'm going to share in a second, but every one of them, I could show you the bad side of it and then flip it, and I have a new perspective on it and says, oh my gosh, thank God that happened. Okay? And I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to put this board to the side just so I have more room. I don't want to bump into it. And I'm going to kind of go through these bullet point by bullet point. So I hope you guys are taking notes. If you're not, you should, because there's some gold in here. Are you guys enjoying this so far? Make sure you stay to the end. I got some gifts for some of those people that just came on later, something that you're going to want. But what I'm saying here is, let's start with power of resilience, okay? I got to play in the National Hockey League from 1997 to 2011. I was hurt a couple years in the middle, but roughly it was 14 years in NHL. Okay. I was on rosters. Okay. Was I the best player out of all those millions of people that were trying to get into the NHL during that time period that I made it? Just type in the chat if you think that I was the best player or I was one of the top 700 players in the world. No! There were so many players I played with that were better than me. More skilled, more this, more that. Why do you think that I made it and they never did? Tell me. Why did Dave Scatchard get to earn all these jerseys and get to play for that long and be an asset to teams when other players who scored 50 goals the year before never made the team? Joel, I wouldn't give up. Determination, attitude, heart. Do you think mindset, what we're teaching today, do you think my mindset had something to do with it? Do you think resilience had something to do with it? Do you think emotional intelligence had something to do with it? Harnessing the power of my mindset, adversity into opportunity? Do you think my perspective was different? Everything that I have done in my life has come from my mindset, my perspective, and my resilience. Everything. The Ironman. Do you think I'm the best runner out there at 230? I ran the Ironman at 235 pounds. My category was called Clydesdale. Okay. All these guys are like this big. Here's this 235 pounder running for 26 miles, biking for 112, and swimming for 2.4. So how did I do that? It was my mindset. It was my belief. It was my faith. It was my perspective. Okay? Do you think that I'm like some magical author and just like, hey, I'm the best writer ever. I'm going to become a bestseller? No. But I did hire coaches. I did hire people that knew more than me. And I said, how do I do this thing? I got 1,000 stories. How do I condense it into 248 pages? Marketing. How do I make $1 million? I don't know how to do that. I've never done this stuff before. I'm a hockey player. Well, learn, Dave. Learn some new skills. Learn the skills. You have to go to the next level. Are you guys seeing the pattern here? Don't give up, Dave. Work through the night. I was building slides. I was trying to figure out the marketing emails. I was doing all this stuff. Like, I didn't sleep, but guess what? God and the universe just gave me the energy. And I did these things raw and naked and vulnerable and with passion. I was trying to help people that I knew would never sign up to be one-on-one coaching clients of me, never would become a buying customer of mine. They were broke, they were desperate, they were scared. And I just gave and gave and gave for 7 days straight. And I barely slept for those whole almost 2 weeks. So I was scared out of my mind that I'd failed them. It wasn't about me. Do you guys see that? It's not about me. None of this. You think I got anything better to do to do a free training in the middle of the day on this day? You don't think I have anything else? I don't have 3 kids. I don't have like multiple people pulling at me right now to do stuff. Why am I here? I'm trying to add value to your life. I'm trying to show you another way. I'm sick and tired of seeing people bail on themselves. I'm sick of it. I can't pull everybody's teeth. I can't beg everyone to go to the next level. If I have to fucking show them and give real life demonstrations till they get it, I will. I don't care. So let me just tell you a few stories, okay? These are all things that I believe you can relate to yourself and your life and your business right now. I remember my dad was one of my biggest, I love this guy. He was my idol. God rest his soul. He's in heaven now. And he was always the most positive. He was the number one person in my life that believed I could do anything. And that's where I get this attitude from. Nobody else really did. My mom did and my dad did, and that was it in my life. Like most people didn't believe in me. And my dad said, I told my dad I was really young. I was probably 6 or 7 years old. I go, Dad, I said, I want to play in the NHL like Wayne Gretzky one day. And he goes, okay. He goes, what do you think you got to do that? So, well, I got to get faster. I got to get stronger. And I guess I have to be a better skater and a better shooter and a better stick handler, kind of everything. And he goes, okay. He goes, so let's just keep it simple. if you could only do one thing right now, what would you do to get better? If you did this thing every single day, what do you think you would do so that you would get better and give yourself a better chance of making the NHL? I thought about it. I said, well, if I got 100 pucks that went over the glass after hockey practice with the older boys, and I put them in my pockets and I took those home every day after practice, I'd take pucks home. I put them in a milk carton, and I had this little plastic sheet that I could shoot off of in the backyard, and I have my net in the woods. And if I just shot 100 pucks every day over the year, that'd be 36,500 pucks I've shot. Okay? 36,000 pucks that other people aren't shooting that I would have shot. Does that make sense? So I said, well, why don't I just do that? And he goes, okay, but you're going to do it, right? And I said, yeah. He goes, rain, shine, snow. If you're going to do this and you want to make the NHL, do you think you take any days off? And I'm like, no days off. It's like, okay, done. And it was my idea. It wasn't my dad's idea. It was my idea. He let me come up with that. He gave me some breadcrumbs and I followed it, and that's what I did. I did it over and over and over and over and over again. I really wish I would have kept that piece of plastic, because all it had was just black from all the puck marks. All our fences and other stuff were broken from all the pucks that missed the net, and it was hilarious. But I never got in trouble for it, and I knew that I was just building my craft. I remember saying I got to shoot 10 off the low post, 10 off the upper post, 10 off the crossbar, 10 off the lower post, and then I can go in for dinner. And if I didn't do it in that proper sequence, then I would have to start over and do it over again. And these were games I would play with myself. I played street hockey. I had bought rollerblades. I wore ankle weights. I delivered my newspapers with my rollerblades on, and I raced the bus to school every day while kids were sitting on the bus. I would race them, and the bus would pull ahead, and then I'd skate up, and I'd jump over the curbs, and I'd go, and all the kids are cheering. It was like a movie. And I did that every day. Some days it was like there was snow on the ground. I'm trying to ride my rollerblades. It was hilarious. But I slowly started to put in all this extra work that nobody else is doing my age. So I quickly advanced. I started playing with kids 2 years older than me. So I was that good. And I remember, another story about resilience or never giving up, or this different mindset or perspective, was I got invited to this camp, and I'm 12 years old, and I get invited to the St. Albert Saints camp. These kids the main team is like 16 to 20 years old, and I thought I was just going there for a little like hockey school type of thing. And I go there, and we don't have much money, so we sleep in my dad's coal mining Suburban, which is this red, ugly Suburban. We sleep with sleeping bags in the back on the parking lot of the hockey arena. We had an early session the next day. We drove in from Hinton to St. Albert. So I sleep in the back of my dad's truck. We're breathing all night. It freezes the entire inside of the vehicle, so it's all frosted over. I wake up to like car doors slamming. Haven't eaten breakfast or anything. I'm freezing. It's one of the coldest nights ever. And I peek my head out the door, crack the ice, look out the door, and there's a dudes with like beards, hairy chests and huge legs and stuff driving there, getting their gear out and walking into the rink. And I go, Dad, is there 2 ice surfaces here? Like, what am I doing? Why are these guys all coming during my ice time? He goes, I don't know. He goes, let's go find out. So I walk in, and my dad goes, hey, Dave Scatchard's here to check in. And they go, okay, great. And they're like looking over me. I'm this 12-year-old boy. They're looking over me for my big brother or something. And they see this little guy. There you go. Where's Dave? And they're like, he's Dave. and they go, there must be some mistake. This is main camp. Kids all here are 16 to 20 years old. And, he shouldn't be here. And I start crying, like I'm 12. I start crying. And my dad's like, come on, is there nothing you can do or whatever? They're like, you got to talk to the general manager. So we run, talk to the general manager. General manager comes back. He's like, hey, sorry, you're going to get hurt out there. These kids are big. They're tough. They fight. And I go, just let me play one game. Just let me play one game. And I'm terrified because I never played with kids 4 to 8 years older than me. Anyways, here's the moral of the story. They tell me they're going to give me one game. These guys are just fighting, and I'm so scared. I got this ugly Cooperall XL7 helmet on, Cooperall pants on, which nobody else had. And I look like an outcast. My shot's so weak. The warm up the goalie doesn't even try to stop. He just lets it go. But I score a goal in my first game, and I survive. I don't get killed. So they come to me and they're like, "Hey, like you did pretty good out there. Do you want to try again?" I'm like, "Yeah, give me one more game." So I played the next game. I had an assist. And then the last game, I had 2 goals and 1 assist, and I scored the game-winning goal at 12 years old. I was terrified out of my mind. But I also knew that where I was going, I was going to have to do terrifying things. I was going to have to be brave. I was going to have to do things that I was so scared of. Does this make sense? I had to just go. I could have said, "Oh yeah, Dad, let's go home. These guys are going to kill me," which was very realistic possibility. I was very gentle. I didn't hit. I wasn't physical. I didn't fight. These guys were all just strong and powerful dudes. I was 12. Imagine being a 12-year-old boy walking into the showers with 20-year-old men, like laughing at you because you're 12. You get it? It takes hard stuff to make you resilient. It takes some challenges in your life to build some muscle. You don't go to the gym, lift weights for 2 seconds, your arms get tired, and you go, "Oh, I guess I'm just, this is too hard. I'm just going to quit." No, you got to build your muscle. You got to keep showing up to the gym over and over and over and over again. You never stop. Like our society, and please, I'm not saying all of you on this call, just society in general, it kills me because I feel like it's gotten so soft and so entitled and so weak. You know, if you're a masculine man nowadays and you enter a room, you're a rarity. It's kind of embarrassing on how soft everybody has gotten and how neutral their energy has gotten. There's no real strong leaders that are male. There's not a lot of feminine, gentle. Like, I don't want to generalize everything. That obviously there are, but as leaders, there's not a lot of soft feminine leaders out there either. You guys get it? Yeah, Rosalie feels it. So anyways, on to more stories. Here's another story about resilience, okay? I'm 14 years old, and look, what these things mean to you, everything that I'm telling you is a hockey story, but it'll relate to your life, okay? So when I'm talking that, think about your time when you went through something really strong and you're proud of yourself. You're like, "Man, that was tough, but I did it anyways." Because I believe that was when you're really probably the most alive that you've ever been during those times. Okay? So here's another story about mindset and perspective. Okay? I'm 14 years old. I get cut from the Medicine Hat Tigers. I go to their camp, and we're trying to get listed at this point. We're trying to get a team to really pick us and say, "Hey, we like this player. We're going to invest in our list with him. And then hopefully in a couple of years when he's old enough, we'll bring him on." So I go to this Medicine Hat Tigers camp. I have a really good camp. And Portland Winterhawks had invited me to another camp in Sherwood Park. So from Medicine Hat to Sherwood Park, I think it's like 6 or 8 hour drive. We got a late game. It's like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. I score a couple goals, and my dad goes to the general manager. He goes, "Hey, you know, what's your plans with Dave? Are you going to invite him to main camp in a few months, or what are you going to do? Are you going to list him?" And they're like, "Oh, we like him a lot. We just don't really have a lot of list space. Probably not." My dad goes, "Okay, thank you. We're going to take off. We're going to go to Portland's camp." So we get in the car. It's probably like 9:30 now, 10 o'clock at night. I've got to be on the ice at like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning in Sherwood Park with Portland the next day. So here I am, this little boy, I'm 14. And we start driving down the road, and the road is dead straight for miles and miles and miles of prairie road, 6 or 8 hours. And my dad is just exhausted. He worked all week. He drove me all the way to Medicine Hat from Salmon Arm. He's exhausted, and he starts to like nod off. He starts to fall asleep while he's driving. And this is only an hour or two in, and he looks at me, and it's probably midnight now, and he goes, "Hey, bud," he goes, "if we want to get there on time, you're going to have to drive." And I said, "Huh? Pardon me? Excuse me?" And he said, "You're going to have to drive." And I said, "Wow, okay. Well, tell me how to drive." And he goes, look, here's the deal. This road's really straight, single lanes. He goes, just drive down the middle of the road. So keep us on the pavement. And if you see a car with lights coming your way, just pull over and go slow by the side and the shoulder. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, here's your gas, here's your brake, here's drive, go. So I start to drive, and like within like 5 seconds, I'm not even joking. My dad, I look over and he's asleep. And I think he's like pretending, and he's just going to reach over and correct me when I'm kind of like veering. Like, you know, when you oversteer when you're too young, flying kind of all over the road like this. Thank God there are no vehicles. And he's sound asleep. He starts snoring. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm by myself in the middle of prairies in Alberta. I don't even know where I'm going. I don't know where the next road is. He said, just go straight. So that's what I'm going to do. And my dad's sound asleep. I'm driving down the road in Alberta by myself, trying to get myself to the next skate, where eventually I did get there on time. When we got to the outskirts of the city, my dad woke up, he took over. I couldn't believe I made it without crashing. And I was kind of close a couple of times because I didn't know what I was doing. And I'm on the ice at 8 o'clock. I have a great game. I play a couple more great games. Portland lists me and protects my rights. And I ended up playing junior with them later. I haven't really told that story publicly. I think it's in my book. But I could have been like, no, I'm not driving. I don't know how to drive, or dad, I don't want to kill us or whatever. But like, the time called for me to step up and do something I've never done before. If you haven't realized there's a pattern to this in my life where I just do stuff without really thinking too much about it, it's probably a blessing and a curse. But I think there's more blessings in it because I'm not afraid to take action, try crazy stuff, or do new things. That's just the way I was raised, okay? So why am I telling you all this? What does this mean to you? Well, somebody might hand you the wheel of the car and say, hey, you need to drive right now. You might be like, I don't know how to drive. And they're like, no, you need to drive. Like, I'm done. You might need to take over the business. You might need to take over the family. You might need to take over the bill paying. You might need to take over grandma, grandpa. You might have to take over something that you've never done before, okay? My point is that when you're called to do that, you'll figure it out. But you can't bail. You can't bail on yourself, like ever. I'm going to tell you a couple more stories and sort of like wind things up. But I'm 16 years old. I've left home. I'm moving away from home. I'm standing outside the Kimberley Arena. I got cut from Portland. I have to go play for this other team, Kimberley. They're all older players. There's no limit on the 20-year-olds that you can have. So I'm 16. And the coach is a guy named Wayne Weimer, and he's very strict, and he likes physical and tough players. And I wasn't one of those at the time. And he wants to win. So he brings in all these 20-year-olds. So it's like 20-year-old, 19, 18, 16-year-old Dave. And I remember seeing my mom and dad drive away, and I'm by myself, and I just start sobbing. And I'm just crying. I'm like, oh my God, I'm by myself. I'm 16, terrified. Coach doesn't like me already, I can tell. These guys aren't going to make it easy on me, which they didn't. I have a billet family who I slept at their home, but they didn't really know how to cook for a kid. So I ate $1.25 poutine fries every day, try to gain weight, which is not very smart or healthy or anything. I was living off that. I lived off my McDonald's allowance, or my McDonald's money for the summer. So I was supporting myself at 16. I remember I ran out of money 3/4 way through the year, and I had a few $100s saved up, and I called my mom for money for the first time. And like, they didn't have a lot, so I didn't want to like be asking them for money, but I had none. And she ends up sending me a couple $100 that got me through the rest of the year. I remember calling home and I said, Mom, this is too hard. I said, I can't do this. I said, these guys don't like me. I said, coach doesn't like me. I'm afraid. And I don't think I'm good enough. And she was so awesome. She was, listen, you can come home. Your brother's here. He misses you. Your sister's here. They miss you. All your friends still miss you. Your broom's still here. You can come home. But I know how bad you've worked, how hard you've worked for this. I know how bad you want this thing. She was, I think you'll regret it for the rest of your life if you come home right now. And she was right. And I'm crying on the phone, and I want to come home and be the easy thing to do. Like, here's the thing, guys. The easy thing for you in your life probably isn't the right thing sometimes. There's probably a more difficult path, but the rewards will be so much bigger because you had to go through something to get it, than just taking the easy passive way and be like, I'm okay, life's okay. I'm living paycheck to paycheck, but you know what? I guess this is just how it is for me. It's always been that way for my family, so I guess I'll just keep the. No, stop. Makes me want to throw up when I talk like that. Okay. So what I do? Here's the thing. Okay, I made 2 notes here. I said claim something, and perspective. I said, okay, if I can get through this year, which seems like the most difficult year I've ever been through, with the coach hating you, all these things, if I can get through this year and I can make Portland next year, I still can get drafted. I still got a shot. So let's just like go all in, like live at the arena, work on my stick handling, work in the weight room, just not stop. Don't care about the bullying that I was feeling from the other players or the coach or anything. Just like lock in and say, I'm not leaving until they have to play me. I'm working so hard, they have to play me. They have to give me ice time. They have to notice me. Somebody has to notice me. Okay? And the second that I did that, I claimed, boom, boom, I claimed this bigger version of myself. All right, Dave, you're not a bantam player anymore. You're a junior player, and you're going to be an NHL player. So you better buck up. You better get some balls. You better get some courage. You got to get some strength. You got to be bold. You got to be strong. You got to be fearless. And like, fuck everybody else. Okay? They don't know me. They don't know my dreams. They don't know my vision. They don't understand me. So fuck them. I don't need to hear advice from somebody that doesn't know me. I could care less about haters online or people that are jealous or what. I could care less because they don't know what I'm made of. They don't know what I'm built for. Do you guys see? Like, I don't just show up and magically just, oh, hey, he's so lucky he gets it all. No, I buckle in my brain into this fucking beast mode where I'm not going to be stopped. And then I just do the work until it's done. I was listening to Alex Hormozi the other day and he goes, listen, he goes, when I started, he goes, I read this thing that like after 5,000 sales calls, you actually get to be an excellent salesman. So he goes, I just started counting. And he goes, I was barely breaking even. And after my 5,000th sales call, I knew that something shifted because I've had 5,000 conversations with people on how to sell them. And he was selling gyms and memberships and stuff at the time. The guy's worth hundreds of millions now. He's making tens of millions a month. And he just knew that he had to punch his time card. Some of you want to be all of a sudden have all those things, make all that money and not punch your time card. Do you guys get it? Right now, I'm sitting here and I'm punching my time card and I'm trying to get better. I've even got ulterior motives, guys. Listen to this. I'm about to go on this speaking tour all across North America. And I wanted to try out some new material. So I was thinking, well, how can I practice some of my new stuff with a live audience and practice saying it out loud, but imagine that it's for a room of 1,000 people or 500 people or 200 people. So I can help you guys and I can work on my own craft at the same time. And hopefully you find inspiration and I know the stuff works. And then I can take it out there and use it as one of my keynote speeches. Okay, I'm punching my time card. I know it's not going to be overnight. I know that it's not going to be easy. It's not. So what am I doing? I'm practicing. Those 100 shots a day. Imagine me doing 100 shots a day right now with you, speaking, practicing, trying to help you. It's a win-win-win. Write that one down, guys. If you don't have it, if you can make something win-win-win, it works. You can make money at it. People will be happily buying it from you and they win, their clients win, you win, everybody wins. Make life win-win-win. Okay? It's not, I'm going to gouge this person or I'm going to take from this person. No. How can I give them value? And they would happily exchange a monetary value, money with me because they know that I'm going to help them win. That's an exchange of value. That's what it's about. You guys get that? Beautiful. I see people writing in there that they get that. Okay, a couple more stories. So, I mean, I got 100 stories, but there's this one bag skate that I had and I'm 16 or 17, and I'm trying to make the Winter Hawks. And this does not end, and it's the day before a game. And it's a longer story, but I'm going to try to cut it really short. These coaches are skating, like 5 or 6 of us after morning skate already. So we've already been on the ice for an hour, hour and a half. Then they keep us on. They go, okay, boys, we're going to skate. And they line us up. And to this day, it was one of the hardest skates I've ever done. And we're out there for about another hour, okay? And I'm talking end to end, blue line back, red line back, blue line back, far end back, side to side, 12 laps, 14 laps, all the circles, okay? Guys are dying. At one point, one of the guys says to me, hey, Scatch, slow down. We don't want to make each other look bad. And I'm new on the team. I'm trying to like make friends and stuff, but the easy thing would have been, right? The easy thing versus the right thing. The easy thing would have been just to be like, yeah, you're right. Like, let's just pace ourselves because we're going to be out here forever. I know, I could feel it. And something in me is like, no, dude, don't do that. Bury these guys. I don't know where it came from. I don't know where I heard the message. So I put the hammer down. I knew I was in better shape than these guys. I trained really hard all summer. And I buried them. And I started lapping guys. I started beating guys so badly that it was embarrassing. I'd go over to the bench. I'd puke on the bench, come back to the line, ready to go again. And finally, they call the practice. And I'm laying there. And I remember I took my helmet off. I'm laying in Portland Rose Garden, I think it was called. And I'm laying there and steam is coming off my head, off the ice. Took my helmet off. And the coach, Mike Williamson, comes over and he leans over and he goes, hey, buddy, great job. He's like, you're going to play tonight. I look at him. I'm like, what do you mean I'm going to play? He goes, yeah, we had one spot and you're in. And I'm like, Willie, I'm like, my legs are shot. I just barfed my brain. I don't even know. He goes, hey, you'll be fine. Go talk to Petey in the dressing room after. So I go in and I talk to Brent Peterson, who was a mentor of mine and my coach. And he said, hey, great job out there. I don't know if you knew, but all the scouts, all the general managers, everyone was up in the rafters, up in the press box. And we didn't know this. We didn't see them. I just skated for me because it was the right thing to do. But that one defining moment probably changed my life because 2 people from that skate stayed and the other 3 or 4 were sent back to Canada, never to be seen from again. So I made the team that day, but I didn't know it. So do the work when no one's watching. Show up for yourself when no one's watching. Do the right thing. Don't take the shortcut. Don't take the shortcut. Other people are gonna be doing it. It's gonna be cheating. You're gonna be like, hey, that's not. Do it the right way and show up like a pro every fucking day, and you win. The next year, I was captain of that team, the team that I barely made, that I clung to the last position. Vancouver Canucks. 2 years later, I'm drafted. I go through mono. I lose 40 pounds. I somehow get drafted in the 2nd round. I finish first in the world of fitness. That's a whole nother story. But once again, I just didn't let my circumstances affect me. Okay, I missed 20-something games during my draft year. I trained after the season was over. I went into the combine, finished first in the world. Vancouver loved that. They picked me 42nd overall in the world. Suddenly, I got a shot. So I go to Vancouver. Actually, I go to Vancouver the first year. I'm the last cut. Me, Tyson Nash, and this guy named Brian Loney. Okay, this is all in my book, but we're in the cab, and Tyson and I he's still a good friend of mine. He lives in Arizona here. He goes, hey, buddy, we did so good. I'm really proud of you. Like, you worked your butt off. And I'm like, yeah, I'm proud of you too, Tyson. And Loney's up front, and he's a skilled player. And he goes, are you kidding me? They only kept you guys around because you worked hard. You'll never be NHLers. And we're like, what? He's like, no, you guys will never be NHLers. You're not good enough. They only kept you because your work ethic and you're like driving the pace at practice and stuff. And Tyson and I look at each other in the backseat and I almost start crying. I'm a 20-year-old man and I'm almost in tears because this guy just broke my heart and my dreams and took all my hard work from the whole training camp, 2 or 3 weeks, whipped the rug right out from underneath me. And I'm like, no, they said I'd be the first call up and stuff. He's like, yeah, they said that to me too. You're not going to be. And we were devastated. So my circumstances weren't great, but I shifted my perspective. I said, okay, this guy says to me, I'm never going to make it. I'm going to use that emotions, and here it comes to the emotional intelligence. I'm going to use those emotions of feeling sad and disappointed and crushed and desperate to fire and to fuel. And I'm like, nothing is going to make me feel better than proving this guy wrong. I'm going to be the first guy in the gym. I'm going to be the last guy, first guy on the ice, first guy in the gym, last guy off the ice. So I'm the first one on the ice. I'm the last guy off the ice. I'm going to work. I got nothing else to do. I don't have any kids. I don't have any responsibilities. I'm making my $65,000 a year, whatever I made in the minors. I don't care. All I'm going to do is work and train and make it so these guys can't send me down. And I do that. And I'm getting stronger. I'm getting faster, all these things. Rug pulled up underneath my feet again. And I got to get heel surgeries because my feet are hollow. Like, oh my God. I go to the doctor. He's like, you might never play hockey again, Dave. And I said, what do you mean? He's like, well, we got to drill through your heels, take bone off your hip, pack in your heels. And then we don't even know if, like, how the skates are going to work. And if like your heels were hollow, so they might shatter. I'm like, oh my goodness. So they do double surgery on my heels. I live at the Rosedale and Robson in Vancouver. I give the bellman my room key, and all I do is order room service every day. I crawl to the bathroom because I can't put any weight on my feet. I use the bathroom to crawl back to bed, and I did that for weeks on end. Then eventually I could use a little bit of crutches. I'm going to do the hyperbaric chamber in the Vancouver. So I'm not on Syracuse. I'm not on Vancouver. I'm in no man's land. I don't know what my future looks like. I haven't been able to put skates on because my feet are so swollen and packed with bone. Then they tell me they screwed up the surgery and they got to do everything all over again. Like 2 months before training camp. I'm devastated. I pray to God. I say, God, if you get me out of this, I will do whatever you do. Remember, those desperate prayers? Well, that's what I did. And I just remember the only thing I could work was my upper body. So I remember my feet were all still on bandages and I could barely walk. I can't even skate until about 9 days before training camp, and they have to build me these weird skates with the sides punched out because there's so much bone that they packed in. Very painful. I still had staples and stuff. It was brutal. Anyways, long story short, I break the record for bench press at training camp because my upper body was so strong because that's all I was working the whole time. And then I somehow make the team and I find myself in Japan. Okay. So perspective shift went from, oh my God, I missed a whole year of hockey basically, to, well, I'm in the dressing room with the Canucks. I'm getting treatment from their trainers every day. They all see that I'm a good person. I'm a workout fiend in the gym for everything I could do, my core and my upper body. They see my work ethic. I'm friends with Pavel Bure and, all these guys now because they know me. So I'm not like a nobody. And this is another thing, okay? This is very important. I got clear on my goals going into training camp. And I want you guys to write this down. I asked the head scout, I said, what do I have to do to make this team? And he goes, well, we got Mark Messier, Pavel Bure, Alexander McGillney, Trevor Linden, Marty Jelena. We had a sick team, all really great players, good goal scorers and stuff. But he goes, we don't have a lot of guys who hit or fight or draw penalties to put those guys on the power play. So honestly, if you could run around and be kind of a nuisance to play against and play hard and physical, he goes, you got a shot to make this team. And I said, perfect. You point them out and I'll knock them down. I went out, I think I had 3 or 4 fights in training camp. And I was willing to turn my brain into this thing that said, well, if that's the one obstacle I have to overcome to go make this team, I will do all those things that he just told me to do. And I will get noticed. I go to Japan. We start the season in Japan. Mark Messier is my roommate. I sit out the first game. I'm a healthy scratch. I'm like, oh, that's not good. And I knew they were allowed to bring an extra player or two. And by the grace of God and a injury to a friend of mine, Mike Sillinger, he got his Achilles tendon cut after practice, which never happens. This is a freak thing. But he was a centerman. So when he got his Achilles heel cut, it gave me a chance to get in the lineup. So the next game, I'm in Japan playing my first NHL game. And all that hard work and all those pucks and all those runs and all those training sessions and all the puking and all the stress and leaving home and all of that stuff, guys, it was worth it. And I made it. And nobody could ever take that away from me ever again. Ever. I had my name in the record books as playing a game in the NHL, which was my #1 goal in life. remember walking into the dressing room and seeing my jersey, that one down there, number 20, Scatchard, hanging up, sitting right beside Mark Messier and Alexander McGillney. I'm like, holy smokes. I'm from Hinton, Alberta. Salmon BC. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be here in Japan, playing with the best in the world, and not just doing it for a couple of years, guys. I stuck around for a while. Almost 14 years I played in the NHL. But I did it with this. There were so many times when I could have stopped and I could have quit. It seemed too hard. So many times. Like thousands of times. I have broken bones and missing teeth and broken orbital bones, and I'm fighting, and I just broke my nose the night before and it breaks the other way, and I broke my nose 12 times. Broke my hand, broke my face, hundreds of stitches in my face, broke 6 broken ribs, broken sternum, 3 shoulder surgeries, both MCLs on my knees, 4 feet surgeries, broken forearm. But I did it. I did it. You can do it too. What this means is that you guys can do it too. I'm not that special. I fucking work hard. And I commit. And I don't let this stop me. This wants to make you play small. It wants to regulate you. It's like a governor on your golf cart. It wants you to just go slow and be safe. You're not built for slow and safe. There's no saber-toothed tiger trying to eat you like in the caveman days. There's no real physical threat. So the fight or flight things kind of got to go. If you're worried about your ego or your fear of judgment or failure or whatever, you got to get over that. It's not about you. There's people that need you right now that don't even know you exist. Okay?